So my record says we are at stage 5, paragraph page 350.
Mm,
Okay, and our last headword was snack, newer type of lesson. Okay,
yes.
so let's start with our revision.
Okay.
Okay, let me just scroll down. Okay, here we go. First question. When do we use the present continuous? When do we use the present continuous? We use
We
the
use
present continuous
present
for an
continuous
action
for an
that
action
is in progress
that
now.
is in progress now.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. I am speaking
I
English
am
now.
speaking English now.
When do we use the past continuous? When do we use the past continuous? We use
We
the past
use
continuous
the past
for an
continuous
action
for an
that
action
was in progress
that was
at
in
a
progress
particular
at
time
the
in
particular
the
time
past.
in the past.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. I was speaking English
I was speaking
at this
English
time yesterday.
at this time yesterday.
Wait, were you chatting to anybody when I came into the room at the beginning of the lesson? Were you chatting to anybody when I came into the room at the beginning of the lesson? Yes or no?
No,
I wasn't chatting
I wasn't
to anybody
chatting to
when
anybody
you came into the
when
room
you came into the
at the
room
beginning of the lesson.
at the beginning of the lesson.
Where again, were the students standing or sitting when I left the classroom at the end of the last lesson? Let's use this. Were the students standing or sitting when I left the classroom at the end of the last lesson? The students were
The students were sitting
when you left the classroom
when you left the
at the end
classroom
of the last
at the
lesson.
end of the last lesson.
Where was it raining while you were coming to school today? Was it raining while you were coming to school today? Yes or no?
No,
It
it
wasn't
wasn't
raining
raining
while I was coming
while I was
to
coming
school
to
today.
to school today.
Very good. When you, what were you doing at this time last Sunday? Oh, can you still remember? What were you doing at this time last Sunday? I was
I was watching TV
at this time
at
last
this
Sunday.
time last Sunday.
I thought you're still working. Okay, nice. Do you think most people in your town were sleeping at midnight last night? Do you think most people in your town were sleeping at midnight last night? Yes. I
Yes,
think most
I
people
think most
in my
people
town
in my
were
town
sleeping at
were
midnight
sleeping
last
at
night.
midnight last night.
Wait, where were you living 10 years ago? Where were you living 10 years ago? I was living
I was living here
10
10
years ago.
years ago.
Very good. About how much does a doctor earn a year in your country? About how much does a doctor earn a year in your country? A doctor
A
earns about,
doctor earns about
let's say,
10,
15 million yen
15 million
a
yen
year in my country.
a,
A
a
year
year
in my country.
in my country.
Very good. Okay. Would it be okay for a man to wear jeans and trainers if he was going to a formal dinner? Would it be okay for a man to wear jeans and trainers if he was going to a formal dinner? No, it
No,
wouldn't be
it
okay
wouldn't be
for a
okay
man to
for a
wear
man
jeans
to
and
wear jeans
trainers
and
if he was
trainers
going
if he was
to a
going
formal dinner.
to a formal
He should
dinner.
wear a suit
He
and
should
tie.
wear a suit and tie.
Very good. When we meet somebody for the first time, what can we say? When we meet somebody for the first time, what can we say? When we meet
When
somebody
we meet
for the
somebody
first
for the
time,
first
we can
time,
say, nice to meet
we
you.
can say nice to meet you.
And what do we say if we want to be more formal? And what do we say when we want to be more formal? If we want to
If we
be
want
more
to
formal,
be more
we
formal,
say, how do you
we
do?
say how do you do.
And what does the other person reply? And what does the other person reply? The other
The
person
other person
replies, how do you
replies,
do?
how do you do?
Very good. Is it easy to persuade people to give their money away? Is it easy to persuade people to give their money away? No, it
No,
isn't
it
easy
isn't
to persuade
easy
people
to persuade
to give their
people
money away.
to give
Their
the
money,
money,
their money
their money
away.
away.
It's difficult.
It's difficult.
Very good. How often do you go to the hairdressers? How often do you go to the hairdressers? I go
I
to
go
the
to the
hairdressers
hairdressers
in a
about
year.
once a month.
Once a month. Oh, very good. Like 12 times a year. Very good. Very expensive. Okay, why do you think some films are so popular? Why do you think some films are so popular? I think some
I
films
think some
are so
films are
popular
so popular
because they tell
because they
interesting
tell
or exciting
interesting
story.
or exciting story.
Very good. Is it grammatically correct to say I've seen her yesterday? Is it grammatically correct to say I've seen her yesterday? No, it
No,
isn't
it
grammatically
isn't
correct
grammatically
to say
correct
I've
to
seen her
say I've
yesterday.
seen her
We should
yesterday.
say
We should
I
say
saw her
I saw
yesterday
her
instead.
yesterday instead.
Very good. What does a bathroom usually contain? What does a bathroom usually contain? A bathroom
A
usually
bathroom
contains
usually
a bath
contains
or shower,
a bath or
a
shower,
toilet, and a
a
basin.
toilet, and a basin.
Very good. Which do you prefer, baths or showers? Which do you prefer, baths or showers? I prefer
I prefer a bath
two
to
showers.
shower.
What's a rain shower? What's a rain shower? A rain shower
A rain
is a
shower
short period
is a
of
short
rain.
period of rain.
Very good. Okay, next. What does a mirror do? What does a mirror do? A mirror
A
reflects
mirror
light.
reflects
In
lights.
in which room in a house do we usually find a mirror? In which rooms in a house do we usually find a mirror? We usually
We
find a
usually
mirror
find a
in a
mirror
bathroom
in a
or in
bathroom
a bedroom.
or in a bedroom.
Very good. Okay. Next, what does the active voice communicate? What does the active voice communicate? The active
The
voice
active voice
communicates that the
communicates
subject
that the
does the
subject
action.
does the action.
Very good. What does the passive voice communicate? What does the passive voice communicate? The passive
The
voice
passive voice
communicates that the
communicates
subject
that the subject
receives the action.
receives the action.
How do we form the passive voice? How do we form the passive voice? We form
We
the
form
passive
the
voice
passive
with the
voice
verb to be
with the verb to
and the
be
past participle.
and the past participle.
Participle, very good. Give me some examples. Give me some examples, please. My car was
My
washed
car
last month.
was washed last month.
Many computers
Many
are made
computers
in China.
are made in China.
The students will be
The
taught
students
by the
will be
teacher.
taught by the teacher.
Very good. Okay, now I'm going to give you a sentence in the active voice and I want you to put it in the passive voice, okay? Okay, here we go. First one. Let's talk about John. So, John eats the pasta. John eats the pasta. The pasta
The
is
pasta
eaten by.
is eaten by John.
Right, John ate the pasta. John ate the pasta. The pasta
The
was
pasta
eaten
was
by
eaten by
John.
John.
John has eaten the pasta. John has eaten the pasta. The pasta
The
has been
pasta
eaten
has been eaten
by
by
John.
John.
Very good. John will eat the pasta. John will eat the pasta. The pasta
The
will be
pasta
eaten
will be
by
eaten
John.
by John.
John is eating the pasta. John is eating the pasta. The pasta
The
is being
pasta
eaten
is being
by
eaten
John.
by John.
John was eating the pasta. John was eating the pasta. The pasta
The
was
pasta
being
was
eaten
being
by
eaten
John.
by John.
John would eat the pasta. John would eat the pasta. The pasta
The
would
pasta
be
would
eaten
be
by
eaten
John.
by John.
Now we're going to practice with some different sentences. Okay, here we go. I clean my car every Saturday. I clean my car every Saturday. My car
My
is cleaned
car
by
is
me
cleaned by
every
me
Saturday.
every Saturday.
Very good. He forgot him. He forgot him. He was forgotten
He was
by
forgotten
her.
by her.
Very good. My boss is going to write that email. My boss is going to write that email. That email
That
is
email
going to be
is
written
going to be
by
written
my
by my
boss.
boss.
We are fixing the car. We are fixing the car. The
The
car is
car
being fixed
is being
by us.
fixed by
They
us.
have followed all the advice. They have followed all the advice. All the advice
All the
has been
advice
followed by
has
them.
been followed by them.
Very good. Okay. Do I force you to give long answers during the lesson? Do I force you to give long answers during the lesson? Yes. You
Yes,
force
you
me
force
to
me
give long
to give
answers.
a long
Long
give long answers
during the
to
lesson.
you during the lesson
Very good. Why? Why? Because. It is
because
important
it is
to speak
important
as much
to
as
speak
possible.
as much as possible.
When you were a child, did your parents make you eat your vegetables? When you were a child, did your parents make you eat your vegetables? Yes or no?
No,
When I was a
when
child,
I was a
my
child,
parents
my
didn't
parents
make me
didn't make
eat my
me
vegetable.
eat my
You eat
vegetables.
it already. Ah, you like it. Or you don't. You really don't.
Yeah, no.
I thought you like it. Okay, next. What kind of films make you laugh? What kind of films make you laugh? The kind of films
The kind of
that make me
films
laugh
that
are
make me laugh are comedy films.
very good. Okay, what is a snack? What is a snack? A snack
A
is
snack
something
is
small
something
that
small
people eat
that
between
people eat
meals,
between
like a
meals,
sandwich
like a
or a
sandwich
bag of
or
crisps.
a bag of crisps.
Greg, which would you prefer as a snack during a morning break? A bag of crisps or some biscuits? Which would you prefer as a snack during a morning break? A bag of crisps or some biscuits? I'd prefer
I prefer biscuit,
some biscuits
some
to a
biscuits
bag of
to
crisps
a bag of
as a
crisps
snack
as a snack
during a morning break.
during the morning break.
Very good. Okay. So that's the end of our revision. Let's have new word.
Okay.
Okay. Let's repeat. To be born.
To be born.
Very good. To be born. Okay, here we go. To be born. So to be born means to come into existence through birth, like to be born in the hospital, like that. When a baby is born, it comes out to its mother's body. For example, I was born in the 9th of May, 1980. I was born in the Philippines. I learned to walk about a year after I was born. Let's
Mhm.
practice. Where were you born? Where were you born? I was born
I
in.
was born in Japan.
Very good. How soon after you were born did you learn to walk? How soon after you were born did you learn to walk? I learned to walk
I learned to walk
about a year
about a year
after I was born.
after I was born.
Very good. Next, repeat. Murder.
Murder.
hmm That's okay. So listen. Murder is a noun. It is a crime of intentionally killing a person. For example, most people don't like reading books with stories about murders in them. Let's practice. Do you like reading books with stories about murders in them? Do you like reading books with stories about murders in them? Yes or no?
No,
I don't like
I don't
reading
like
books
reading
with
books
stories about
with stories
murders
about
in them.
murders in them.
Very good. Next, repeat. Prison.
Listen.
One more with P. Prison, like jail.
Prison. Sorry.
Very good. Okay, listen. Prison is a noun. It is also known as jail. It is a building where criminals are kept as a punishment or were accused of a crime are kept before their trial. For example, if you killed someone, you will be put to prison. I wouldn't like to see inside a prison because it would make me feel very unhappy.
Mhm.
Let's practice. Would you like to see inside a prison? Would you like to see inside a prison? Yes or no?
No,
I wouldn't
I
like
don't. I wouldn't
to
like
see
to
inside a
see
prison.
inside a prison
Why not? Why not? Because it would make me
because
feel
it hmm?
it would make me feel
it would make me feel
very unhappy.
very unhappy.
Very good. Next, repeat pupil.
Pu-
Pupil.
pu- pu-
Pupil.
Pupil.
Very good. Pupil. Okay, listen. A pupil is a noun. A pupil is a child who is in school, like a small child, pupil.
Mm.
For
Mhm.
example, we can say most students in my country have to wear uniform, or most pupils in my country have to wear a uniform. hmm
Mhm.
Okay, so let's practice. What's a pupil? What's a pupil? A pupil is
A
a child
pupil is a child
who's in school.
who's in school.
Very good. Do most pupils in your country have to wear a uniform? Do most pupils in your country have to wear a uniform? Yes or no?
No,
Most
most
pupils in my country
pupils in my
don't
country
have to
don't
wear a
have
uniform.
don't have to wear a uniform.
Very good. Next, repeat. Root.
Ru-
Very good. Like ROOT. Like root.
Root.
Very good. Okay, listen. Root is a noun. It is a part of a plant or tree that grows under the ground and gets water from the soil. For example, there are these. Okay, let's see. Oh, what we can see it. It's under the ground. Oh, over here are the roots of the tree. We call the part of a tree that's in the land roots. Okay, let's practice. What do we call the part of a tree that's in the land? What do we call the part of a tree that's in the land? We call
We
the
call
part of a
the
tree
part of a
that's
tree
in the land
that in the
the
land,
roots.
the roots.
Very good. Next, repeat the memory.
Memory.
Very good. Okay, listen. Memory is a noun. It is the ability to remember things, places, experiences, and people. For example, I remember things easily. I have a good memory. I easily forget things. I have a bad memory. Okay, let's practice. Have you got a good memory? Have you got a good memory? Yes or no?
Yes,
I
I've
got
got
a
a
good,
good memory.
very good. Okay, next. Let's have another construction of the verb to be. Okay, let me put it here. This is quite a lot. Okay, let me put it here. Okay, another construction of the verb to be. Okay, so let's start. Okay, first, it's the same. I'm not, I'm not.
Mm. I'm not, I'm not.
You aren't, you're not.
You aren't, you're not.
Okay, he isn't, he's not.
He isn't, he's not.
Very good. She isn't, she's not.
She isn't, she's not.
Very good. Next, it isn't, it's not.
It isn't, it's not.
Very good. We aren't, we're not.
We aren't, we're not.
You aren't, you're not.
You aren't, you're not.
They aren't, they're not.
They aren't, they're not.
Very good. Okay, listen. Instead of you aren't, you can say you're not. Instead of he isn't, we can say he's not. But for the word I'm not, it's still I'm not. Okay? So let's practice. What can we use instead of you aren't, he isn't, she isn't, etc.? What can we use instead of you aren't, he isn't, she isn't, etc.? Instead of you
Instead of
aren't, he
you
isn't,
aren't,
she
he
isn't,
isn't, she
etc.
isn't,
We can
etc.,
use you're
we
not,
can
he's
use
not,
you're not,
he's not,
he's not, she's
etc.
not, etc.
Very good. Next, repeat cross.
Cross,
Cross.
across.
Very good. Okay, listen. So this cross, okay, this word cross is a verb. Okay, so the cross that's a noun is like that, a cross noun.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
This cross is a verb. It means to go across from one side of something, such as a
mm.
road, river, room, etc., to cross the street, like that. For example, if I want to go from one side of the road to the other, I must cross the road. Okay, we must look both ways before crossing the road. If I wanted to go from here to Scotland, I must, or I have to cross the sea. Okay, let's practice.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go from there, okay, if you want to go from one side of the road to the other, what must you do? If you want to go from one side of the road to the other, what must you do? If I want to
If
go
I want to
from one
go
side of the road
from one side of the
to the
road
other,
to the
I must cross
others,
the road.
I must cross the road.
Very good. What must you do before crossing the road? What must you do before crossing the road? I must look
I
both
must look
ways
both ways
before crossing the road.
before crossing the road.
Very good. If you wanted to go from there to, let's say, Okinawa, would you have to cross the sea or would you be able to go all the way by land? If you wanted to go from there to Okinawa, would you have to cross the sea or would you be able to go all the way by land? If I wanted
If
to
I
go
want
from
to
here,
go
or,
from
if
uh,
I wanted
if I
to go
wanted
from here
to go from
to
here
Okinawa,
to Okinawa,
I'd have
I would I'd have
to cross the sea.
I- I'd
I'd have
have
to
to
cross the sea.
I'd have crossed the
Right? I'd have to cross the sea.
I'd have to cross the sea.
Very good. Okay, next. Let's have the last one. Think of.
Think of.
Very good. Okay, listen. Think of is a verb. It means to remember or to keep in one's mind. For example, I thought of my report when I got up this morning. Let's practice. What was the first thing you thought of when you woke up this morning? What was the first thing you thought of when you woke up this morning? The first thing I
The
thought
first
of
thing I
when I
thought
woke
of
up this
when
morning
I woke up this morning
was
was I'm hungry.
breakfast, maybe. Very good. Okay, so now let's move on to reading.
Okay.
Okay, so our reading is at stage 4, paragraph page 216. Okay, and our last headword was ill. Okay, please start at headword laugh, comedy. 216.
Okay. Laugh comedy.